Welcome everybody to Behind the Scenes Live. That is BTS Live for another edition on a Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And want to welcome Mark Rogers, my partner in crime. Mark, how are you doing?
Things are good. I think it's broken zero this morning. So I think we're in much better shape than we were the last couple outings here.
Exactly. It's been cold, but luckily this winter, I think
brutal.
we've only... What was that?
It's been brutal, but it's supposed to be like 50 degrees tomorrow.
That's true. I was just going to say, yeah, the cold comes only like 2 days at a time, which is good. Not like last year where we had the polar vortex, I think, for all of January and February. So we're almost getting through that. So hopefully it'll get better. Spring is around the corner. But Mark, today we have a very special show because we have our first guest other than you and me coming in. And Mark, I'm going to let you do the honors and introduce our special guest.
So we've talked about it a number of times during the previous 13 shows when Marty and I have discussed what we do elsewhere. And for me, that's a college football platform that I run on YouTube and a number of other sites. So part of that is bringing in bloggers and broadcasters from across the country. One in particular that's one of my faithful go-to guys concerning Miami football is Cam Underwood. His Twitter handle is Underwood Sports. And in addition to his knowledge about Miami football and college sports and Miami sports in general, in talking to Cam, I've gotten to know him in regards to his other work, which is very prominent. So listen to this bio. So Cam Underwood, in addition to writing for SB Nation's State of the U, is a classically trained vocalist, a degree in music education from the Frost School at the University of Miami, which is a top 5 school in music, with an emphasis in vocal music, 17 years of teaching experience that includes in schools, solos, and in theater. He's adjudicated multiple vocal competitions, and he's a frequent radio and podcast guest, including, fortunately for myself, where he honors me with a number of great breakdowns involving Miami football. But today we have him on because our quest is to prepare you for your podcast, for your brand, for your hosting, the production behind the camera, but also your presentation in front of the camera. So I've provided about as much as I can in regards to vocal preparation and performance, but this guy is going to raise it to a completely different level here. So Cam, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure as always. So, got to marry a couple of my passions, just the human voice as an instrument. I do use it for music a lot, but when we speak and when we do all of our other things, it's still using your instrument, putting it together, and maybe helping some people find a way to use it in a healthy and good way.
So basically, Cam, I think you get a feel for what we're doing here. We have a lot of people on board with us that watch our show because they have either launched or are preparing to launch an audio and or video podcast. They have a brand, they're developing content, they're producing a show to varying degrees. So we're talking about the novice, but we're talking about people that have fairly elaborate setups. So we're trying to provide them with techniques and tips to enhance what they have. So with you, we obviously go to you to help us provide the vocal techniques that somebody can use to enhance what they have. Maybe not try to be a different person, but take what vocal skill that they currently have and enhance it. So if you can provide us some tips and advice here.
Yeah, the first thing is really just being yourself with your voice. I have this low voice. I always have. We speak about this when I go over with your show. So I'm not affecting my voice and making it lower. This is my normal tone. So really being honest with yourself about what your voice is the first thing. When I talk to my students, my singers, I tell them everybody has a voice. Some people's voices are Ferraris, other people's are Geo Metros. But with those, you can still follow all the driving laws, still use your signal, go the proper speed for your car, your voice. So really just kind of being self-aware and trying some different things with your voice is one of the first things that I would say. On top of that, my big foundational belief is that your breath is the control, is the thing that makes your voice work, both anatomically and stylistically, if you will. So you have to be sure that you're breathing before you're speaking in a good kind of healthy way, and continuing to use your air to support your sound. So you're not pressing from your throat, not something like that when you try to muscle it. And that's what some people, if you see like an untrained singer or somebody who's shouting a lot, you see a lot of this strain coming in this area. And that comes from using the muscles to make the voice work, because your vocal folds are actually muscles. But the thing is, you don't really need the muscles to do the work if you have your air set up properly. So if you're being sure that you breathe and being sure that we use the air to support your sound, whether it's singing, shouting, screaming, yelling, talking, hosting a podcast, whatever you may be doing with your voice, those two things really, understanding and being self-aware with your voice by having done some exploration and some of those exploratory activities, trying to see what your voice works like, and trying to be sure that you are always taking enough breath. And even if you speak fast, like I do, because I'm trying to get all this information out, being sure that you take the breath to get all the way through your sentence or all the way through your point. And I'm going to make a point right now. I'm not going to breathe. So if I keep going and I keep going and I keep going, eventually I'm going to get to the end of my airstream. And then you start to hear the voice straining right now because I haven't breathed, and it goes like that. And you don't want to get to that point. So those two things, exploring your voice and then really trying to anchor your breath and have that be the foundation of your sound, I think those things are the foundations that will help anybody's voice grow and going forward.
Cam, I think that's a great reminder, or maybe new information for a lot of people, because I think when people are on camera or doing audio for the first time, they are scared of dead air, even if it's just a pause for a split second. And actually, as you well know, that helps the effect of what you're talking about. That can help separate topics, subjects, that can help separate a point and emphasize a point. But people are kind of frightened that they want to fill all the time up, and so they can't take a breath because they don't want anyone leaving their podcast, so they got to keep talking without stopping. And
right.
That's very important what you just pointed out.
Right, and that's the thing, that when you have more comfort with your content, then the pacing can be varied. Sometimes you will go fast, sometimes you will go slow. And then you can take those breaths and be sure that you're using your voice in a healthy way, because if you're using it in a healthy and authentic way, then your content will be better because it's an authentic performance production from you.
So obviously you're working with people that are highly skilled, including yourself and the instruction that you provide. Are there some tips and techniques beyond that you can take? So for example, I took a voice class in college. I took a theater class that ended up being one of the better classes I took in college. It was suggested to me, and I didn't think anything of it. I was thinking, I'm a broadcaster. I'm a journalism major. Why am I taking a theater class? And it turned out to really help me find my register and find my voice, and develop a few things that you've hit on here. So are there some things that maybe the professionals or the highly skilled take to the nth degree, but we could take kind of a dumbed down version to kind of help from a technique standpoint, our breathing, our finding that voice and being able to use it and improve it?
Yeah, really one of the things is, like I was saying, exploring your voice, trying to see what your voice does and what it can do well. So if you just want to try to do some impressions and do some different things with your voice. So I'm going to try to talk really high and then really low and then, fast and slow, and just doing some of these same theater exercises where you have that and you take just different kinds of styles of vocal performance. And that can be in your speaking, not necessarily singing, but trying to use your voice in the production in a different kind of way where you can find those things that really work well for you. So that's one thing that I would say. So, if you want to practice, a Southern drawl and just see how that works, and see, because for us as the purveyor of our voice, it is sensational, i.e. we feel it. And for the people that are listening to us, it is auditory. So there's two sides to the same coin of your voice. What you're hearing out there, listening, watching this later, is not what I hear in my head. But what I'm going on is the feel, the sensation in my instrument. So trying that, trying to feel, okay, I'm going to try to talk very nasal, so very forward. I'm going to talk like that. I'm going to feel how that goes. And then I'm going to try to talk very far back and see how that, and I'm just changing the placement of where the center of my voice is. So doing some of those kinds of things, and then you find out where your normal placement is and what works for you. On top of that, a big thing for me is diction and pronunciation. In the coursework that we did in the music education program at Miami, we had to take 4 classes in diction and pronunciation, in addition to all of our solo voice lessons and all of our ensemble classes, where we're singing in Slavonic, and then we're singing in Cuban Spanish, then Castilian Spanish, and then we're doing French, and then German, and then English. But then it's affected English because we're doing spiritual. So all these different kinds of dialects and ways that you pronounce your words is a big thing for me. In my teaching life, the ends of the words, the ending consonants, are the thing that I've found that people don't really focus on. They don't finish their words. So the end of the word can get kind of clipped, but you have to finish that. So doing some, normal techniques, and I'm sure I'm not going to Google it now, but if you open up a tab and you Google pronunciation exercises, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, do those kind of things so you can feel the sensation in your voice of how those work. And those are all theater warm-up exercises. So, you do those experiments to try to find the different pitches and different placements, and then things that you can work on your pronunciation, because obviously what we want to do is have the the consumers of our content understand it. And diction and clarity is a big thing for me.
Cam, you went to one of my go-tos. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather. Yes, that takes me back to college right there. I had somebody suggest to me one time to read the dictionary, not the definitions necessarily, but when you've got abdicate, abdicated, abdicating, and you have to repeat like sounding words over and over, it helps you to enunciate properly. And when you say that people drop off the end of the word, just specifically that, most people say end, and they even leave off the D there. So yeah, the pronunciation part of it is definitely key, and you don't want to sound unnatural, but the practice of doing that and sounding out words. So Cam, we've got a question here for you from Stephen with the Tech Buzz. He says he sees a lot of broadcasters imitate other broadcasters in their vocal approach. Is this healthy for your voice when your voice naturally doesn't sound like that?
A straight, quick answer is no, it's not. Not necessarily no. It could be healthy, or it could not, and that depends on your voice. So for me, let's take you and I, Mark. Our voices are similar in a few ways. So if you and I were to try to approximate each other's voices in the placement, in the style, in the pacing and things, it wouldn't be a strain in any kind of way because they're so similar. Now, I was talking with Misty in the chat, and she said she has a squeaky voice. And, I have a low voice for a guy, and she might kind of have a high voice for a girl. Now, if we try to approximate each other's voice, that's going to be something that is not going to be healthy for either of us. So it's really finding if there's something kind of similar to what you do that can work. It's kind of like, Popeye's chicken and KFC and churches, they can kind of approximate each other, but you're not going to have Popeye's chicken try to be like your favorite sushi spot, because those are not the same. So you just kind of, again, being realistic and being kind of self-aware of what your voice is and how it can work. If there's something close to that, that somebody has, so their voice is kind of similar, and you like some of the things that they are doing, sure, go ahead and do that as long as it's in a healthy way. But, I can't say 100% it won't be healthy, but if you're really trying to change the native characteristics of your voice, then I really strongly believe that that's probably not going to be a healthy formation for you.
I think you're giving me just a little bit too much credit there, Cam. If I was going to imitate your voice, I would have to probably do a little bit better of enunciation and bring you down my register to about this level right here. So, yeah, definitely I wanted to touch upon also, I think there's a happy medium there, and we've hit upon this in previous weeks, and what you're getting to is that you can take from other sources and from other people. There's a fine line between staying true to yourself and who your natural voice is. And when I say voice, I mean literal voice, but I also mean your figurative voice as a brand, as a person, a content creator. but also you can take from other people and say, hey, that style might kind of work for me in my own way, but I need to stay true to myself. So there's a fine line there.
Yeah, there is a fine line, and as long as you and kind of getting to the heart of the matter, if we're creating content, then hopefully we're consuming someone else's content, because no man is an island unto themselves. And I mean, we all think that we're doing a great job, but I honestly believe that in all areas of life we can always improve. So you should be consuming someone else's content, and no matter what it is, even if you only take one small thing and abscond that and make it your own and include it into your production, into your style, then that's a good thing to do. So, no production is perfect, no voice, no pacing, no thing is perfect, but it could be the thing that works well for you. Personally, I love watching English soccer sometimes, and like Tommy Smythe, and they like the way that the syntax of their sentences is backwards from ours. And I love that. And sometimes, I try to use those kinds of formations. That's a great thought, that, like just changing things around slightly and trying to infuse those kinds of things. So yeah, really getting to the heart of that. And if you find something that you think could work well for you, and it does from somewhere else or from someone else, then by all means go ahead and do that.
Okay, Cam, before we let you go, one other thing, and I will let everyone know that if you love college football or Miami sports in general, check out Cam at Underwood Sports, and also State of the U on SB Nation. And also join, of course, my audio and video podcast at Mark Rogers TV. So Cam, before we let you go, I would love to know what you're up to these days, just overall, but also specifically toward the vocal instructor part of your work, and what's your next season or what you're involved in and trying to accomplish. Because every time we talk about it, you're headed off to another event, another teaching situation or competition, and preparing to win another award.
Well, we do always try to keep things moving forward in a positive way. And like I said, I honestly believe that everyone can always improve. Not to brag, but this year I did win Teacher of the Year for the school at which I work. So that was kind of a big deal for me. The first time in my 12-year teaching career that I got that. This past week we had Valentine's serenades at the school. So had my students practice popular love songs. They went around and sold those and then performed those in classes for the students who had purchased them. So we had that. We have a few other competitions coming up. We have districts, we have states, we have an Atlanta trip. There's always a spring concert, graduation, and every day is a learning experience, both for me and for my students. So really just trying to be that person who uses my voice in a good way and tries to help them do that in a similar kind of way. And just trying to be honest and truthful with myself and with my kids, or my students, I should say. I run my program as though it's my family, and I love my kids, and I just want to make sure that comes through. And with that love between each person, then we can accomplish great things as a group. And I always say, course is a team sport. So trying it back to Miami athletics, it's a lot similar to that. So we just really try to love each other. We try to work together really hard and just spend every day making powerful music. And just continue moving forward.
It obviously shows in the results too. Cam Underwood from Underwood Sports, also the State of the U from SB Nation, and vocal instructor. And if you missed the introduction at the beginning, please jump back, and the list of accomplishments, very impressive in the work that he's currently doing. Cam, you will forever be the first guest of BTS Live, so we appreciate it. You're welcome to stay on for a few minutes as we conclude the show, or if you need to get to something else, definitely, we appreciate it, Cam.
Hey Cam,
Thank you guys so much.
If you can stick around just for a few minutes, I just want to see if
okay.
If this has been great, is because again, you're our first guest here, and I do want to open up the seat on the bottom here to let anybody in who may have a question, who may want to jump in. We can keep Cam here for hopefully a few minutes here, but feel free to chime in if you'd like to ask a question on camera of Cam Underwood. I do want to go ahead, Cam. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying that's cool. I'd love to stick around for some questions.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I did want to show Cam. I guess one of the best ways to get a hold of you is from this is your Twitter page. So you are Underwood Sports on Twitter, and I did want to show again.
Yes, I am.
The State of the U page. I think it looks like it's a page from SB Nation, which is not a small operation at all. So for those of you who are sports fans, SB Nation is big. I know, Mark, you have some affiliation with SB Nation as well, right? So
Yeah, Cam is one of about 25 or 30 bloggers that I regularly tap. So I can thank Cam for a number of views. That's for sure, because when he posted to SB Nation, those videos explode and his insight is great. So I can't keep track of college football by myself. So I rely on guys like Cam to help me out. So it's good stuff.
Absolutely, it's great to see that content out there, and if you're into Miami sports, University of Miami sports, this is a good source. And Cam's all excited. This is a good source. Does great work. He's got a I'm going to show you there. He's got a sweatshirt on. He's all decked out. There you go. I mean, it's only fair, right? You got to have your fan
Marty,
clothes
this
on
is
there,
every
so.
time on. This is every time on. He never fails to rep the U. So it's always.
Got to do it, man.
Absolutely. So if anybody wants to jump in, we invite you to jump in if you'd like to ask Cam a question. The reason I'm looking this way is I got two monitors here. For some reason, the comments aren't showing up in front of me. They are showing up on this other monitor, so I'm not ignoring you. But if nobody
what
wants to
happens
jump in-
otherwise, Cam, is Marty starts talking tech, and I'm lost for the next 20 minutes. So he just drowns my mind with all these technical procedures and issues and all this technology, and I can't keep up.
What do you think, Cam? Are you the same way?
Yeah, I do have to do a little bit of the tech stuff at the school because there's only a couple of us who are kind of trained in music like that to be able to do the technology. So some of it I understand, probably to like an intermediate plus level, but it can get kind of technical where it's over my head.
Yeah. So I'm here. So that's my job, I guess, with you guys. So between you and Mark. So. Anyways, if no one wants to jump in, Cam, you're more than welcome to hang out. You can hop out, whatever you'd like to do. We can certainly open up for general questions as far as this part of the show. We haven't really done a open question period at all. Our shows tend to go kind of long. So
yeah, they typically work for us.
Yeah, this is episode 14, so we're 14 weeks in on this, and we have a voice expert here. We have someone that's expert on camera. And I know a couple things production-wise, so if you have any questions, feel free. I'm going to rely on you, Mark, if you have a question /
I got it right here.
Pop it in.
Marty's usually calling me the expert on camera, but then I get the lower rung on the totem pole when you jump on, and he's referring to you. So the one expert that we have on today's show in front of the camera. So
I don't know if that's true, but I'll take it.
That's okay if I get upstaged. We need the help here. So while we're waiting for that, Cam, at what point did you get interested in
I guess not.
The voice, developing your voice, singing, all of that?
I've been musical my entire life. Even from when I was in the womb, my mother used to go to the Crystal Cathedral in California, if you remember that Robert Schuller had. And
yes.
Yeah, I would do backflips when the choir would come on. So she would actually have to leave the church because I would start kicking and screaming and everything, in utero. So music's been in my heart, it's been in my soul my entire life. I've, as long as I can remember, been singing and doing things like that. So it's kind of just a natural thing for me to have progressed that way.
Cam, this is Barb Tomlin. She has set up her Facebook page. She is a loyal supporter and part of the team here with BTS Live. She is amazing. I cannot describe it past that. So we'll just leave it at amazing. So Barb, do you have anything for Cam?
I don't pay him to say that.
He doesn't.
It must be the water he drinks.
Right, keep hydrated.
So Cam, I've been singing since I was 4 years old. And I only have the use of the top halves of my lungs. But I'll bet you just about anybody in this room would say I've got a good set of lungs as far as being able to deliver it. And so I've taken voice lessons, and I think the way that we sit, breathing, all of that plays into delivering not just on video, but in speaking and so forth. For you as an athlete, it must be significantly easier.
Well, I don't necessarily know about easier because there's always things that we can do. But if anyone is in an athletic kind of formation with their body, if you run, then you're using your breath support and everything. So it's really just finding the way to practice it and control it more than just saying, okay, you're an athletic person, so obviously you have that capacity. Everyone has a capacity. It's tapping into it and being able to use it.
So for us on screen, and we're here with our webcams, what are, like 2 or 3 tips as far as actually exercising, practicing before we come online, to help us connect and be better speakers when we're on screen?
Okay, that's a very good question. One of the things that I do with my students to get them to activate their breath is to take a nice low breath. So kind of if you feel like the bottom, I'm going to stand up a little bit. So it's like the bottom of your rib cage. This is the area you want to expand as you breathe. Right. So trying to get that kind of buoyancy to your body and to your breath, and then like exhaling on an S and with connected breath. So where you really trying to use that and connect the breath behind your voice, or making that S sound go, because on the ribbon of air is what makes our voice work. So doing something kind of like that. And then also on top of that, just kind of working on some consonants. So, some T's and K's, voiced and unvoiced. So, just doing any of those kind of things. Mm-hmm. Right. But those also take air. So, if you're using all of those together, so, a couple of just, nice, normal, deep breaths, try to get that feeling. So not up here in your clavicular area, you want to breathe nice and low, so trying to get that going so that our breath, we're expanding in a proper way that'll give you that support. If anybody's heard the term sing from your gut, that's really using your abdominals to have consistent pressure underneath your diaphragm. Because your diaphragm looks like this underneath your rib cage, and it goes here. So when we use our abdominals, it's a measured contraction, and it's not just kind of unmeasured. So doing that and using those kind of things, so breathing techniques, and then just different kind of exhalation-based exercises. So the S, the consonants, and any other kind of things you want to work on your bowels, just kind of those shapes. So you have your inhalation technique that you're practicing, and then also your exhalation.
Hey, Cam,
I noticed.
Go ahead, Barb. Go ahead, Barb. That's why we have you on.
Part as far as how we're posed, if you will, in that if I lean forward here, I'm loose and I can really belt it out. I lean back like this, and it's hard. It's hard to breathe. So position has a lot to do with it. Don't you agree?
100%. Your posture matters. From your hips up should be just like you're standing, nice, tall, elongated spine. Imagine that all of the parts of your spine are stacking on top of each other like they're casino chips. So you get that nice elongation, and that's going to open up your chest cavity even more, so that you have that capacity with your lungs to take in even more air, which can, obviously be a positive thing when you're transitioning from the inhalation to the exhalation or speaking process.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I mentioned this a few weeks ago, and you could probably explain it much better than I, but kind of in the same vein, we carry a lot of tension in our jaws naturally, and there's a lot of tension there, and they're tightened up. And I learned from theater class in college that you can kind of drop your jaw and kind of loosen it up, warm it up, because we carry a lot of tension there naturally that we're not aware of.
Yeah, there's tension all the way through your voice or your body, which, again, is your instrument. So your muscles here, your jaw, the facial muscles going to your jaw, that it separates. And if you didn't take an anatomy class, the top part of your head is fixed, and the only part that moves is your jaw, mandible that goes like this, kind of. So all the way through here on the sides, you have these muscles that Mark's talking about. So you can massage those nice and simple. even down the sides of your neck. You don't want to get too much to the front. Obviously, you don't want to hurt yourself. So, over there, even into your shoulders a little bit. And then, like Mark was saying, that separation of the mandible there. So, just kind of like almost like you're going to yawn. So, nice and simple, a stretch way that can get you to release some of that tension and relax a little bit.
Very good. Good stuff.
Again, I
Barb, you
appreciate
have
you.
anything else for us?
I think I'm going to bow out. So it's good to meet you, Cam.
Very good.
Likewise, Barb.
Thanks,
Barb.
Barb. Well, that was very, very good. I do want to show Cam's site on SB Nation again. If you're into, here comes the Tech Buzz. But if you're into University of Miami sports, this is the place to go. Cam is a writer for SB Nation. State of the U is the site, so stateoftheu.com, and it's a great place for Miami fans. Stephen Haywood, how are you?
Hey, I just had a quick question, guys. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. So Cam, I got a question. So a lot of broadcasters, especially on Blab and just all over the place, we spend a lot of time sitting, when behind our desks, we're not necessarily standing. Is that necessarily good, or is that something we should invest in, maybe standing desks to stand behind to get the best range out of our vocal pattern?
I don't necessarily think that you need to stand for the delivery of your content or whatever you're doing, as long as you're active enough where you're moving around on a daily basis, so you're not just sedentary the entire time. But excuse me, kind of goes to the question that Barb had asked previously, about how you sit or what your posture is like. So if you're slouching and kind of concave when you're trying to deliver, so everything is compressed, that's not going to be in a good way. So as long as you kind of have that high and open chest, so you kind of again just try to stack your spine and get a little bit of elongation there, so you're not really hunched over too much. That's pretty much in a good, healthy enough way. So you don't necessarily have to stand unless you really want to, but your body is pretty much going to be engaged the entire time that you're doing whatever it is content wise.
Also, with along those lines, we see a lot of broadcasters sitting there drinking energy drinks. I'm notorious for drinking iced tea, which I know I should be drinking water. Do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I had my water bottle that I just finished, actually. The main thing, you have to remember that the body is 73% water. So hydration is going to be key to begin with. Obviously, water is preferable to anything else. If you want to drink tea or coffee for whatever reason, for maybe the caffeinated content to it, that's fine. Be sure that you're mixing in some water also. Somebody, Lord Patrick, in the chat just said drink juice. Juice has a acidic content to it usually, whether orange juice and lemonade have the sucrose from the citrus, so you don't necessarily want that because that is something that's a minor diuretic, i.e. it draws water out from your system a little bit. So you want to stay more to the water-based kind of things, the tea, coffee, and actual H2O water. But yeah, the energy drinks are kind of a bad thing.
Awesome. I appreciate it. It was a great show, guys. I just wanted to jump in and ask those questions. Thank you for letting me jump in and ask those.
Yeah, Stephen, appreciate it, man. Thank you,
Stephen.
All right.
Support, man.
You guys, I'll be in the side chat. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Got it. Thank you, Stephen. Since Stephen was on there, this is a perfect time to pump tonight's show. So Stephen is another broadcaster, one person that I aspired to be like, and he has a show. He has a site. Let me just show it real quick. TheTechBuzz.net, TheTechBuzz.net, and he does a couple shows a week. One of the shows is tonight, the Weekly Roundup, and that's at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. But you want to come a little early. You want to come at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the pre-show. You can see the setup, and there's always some good stuff going on in the pre-show. And today's, the reason I really want to get this out is today's, Stephen has a very special guest, Scott Wilkerson. So those of you who are into home theater, Scott is he's an editor, and I don't know the site that he's an editor of, but he's an authority. He's on many podcasts. He's an authority in home theater, 4K. If you want to know about 4K, I know they'll be talking about that as well. But Scott's a great guy, very but really the authority on home theater. So if you're into that, I highly recommend you guys checking it out. Starting at 5:30 p.m. for the free show, 6 p.m. for the show. The techbuzz.net. I know Stephen also simulcasts to Blab as well. So Stephen, feel free to put the Blab link in here as well, and the TechBuzz link in the chat. Please do that, because you won't want to miss that show.
And here, Marty, I thought you were aspiring to be like me. I thought that was the whole aim and goal. And now you throw Stephen out there.
I know. Well, the jig is up. I know. I aspire to be like you on camera. I think we all aspire to be like you on camera.
Good save.
See, good save,
Good
right?
save,
so, or like Cam on camera as well.
Yeah.
You know, you guys both are. You know, you guys know how to use your voices, so which is great. So, yeah, I'm an amateur in the territory, so I can set up video and all that stuff. But as far as being on camera, I struggle through it. I do the best I can with your help, but what are you gonna do?
Misty also noticed a good save, so she would be the one that would probably recognize you making a good save better than anyone here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she would definitely. I can attest to that.
You probably had to do that a few times.
And I just want to go over a couple things before we do say goodbye. I do want to invite everyone to join our Facebook group. This is a group that Barb Tomlin, you see her picture there in the first post. Our friend Barb Tomlin saw us in one of our first episodes and said, "Boys, you need a Facebook group." What are you guys doing? So she is completely responsible for setting this up, and she has been a godsend to us as far as helping us build this community, and she's the greatest. So if you see her on Blab, you do want to interact with Barb. Barb is phenomenal, and one of the reasons why we love Blab so much, and for me, it's about the community. So it's Facebook. The group is BTS Live, so search BTS Live on Facebook, and you'll be able to find it. Hopefully, I think Barb just put the link in the comments. Yep. And also, I want to direct your attention to btslive.com. This is our landing page. And this is where we stream the show live every week in HD. And we also play rears. I'm starting to play rears on this page as well. And eventually, it will be a full site. That's the goal. But right now, it's a landing page. So when we're live, you'll see the live show. When we're not live, you'll see I've been running replays. I do want to mention Mark and Mark's YouTube project, latest YouTube project, Mark and Maisie Show. It's a separate YouTube channel. They talk sports, lifestyle, all kinds of different things. Macy Golden, right? Or Golder? Mark?
Golder. Yep.
Golder. Macy Golder and Mark. How long ago did you start this, Mark?
About 12 or 13 weeks ago.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, every Thursday night on Blab, we get running about 6:30. By the time we get things cranked up, it's about 6:45. We're on for typically a half hour to 45 minutes. You can see the records on that YouTube channel, Mark and Macy. We also have a Twitter page, Twitter account, Mark and Macy Show. So please join us there. We're talking sports all the time, but sometimes we'll drift off into something else. So we're having a lot of fun with it.
Excellent. Very good. Well, guys, we want to really appreciate you guys coming out for Behind the Scenes Live. I want to thank again Cam Underwood for joining us. Cam, thank you for being our first guest, and a lot of great information. I can see by the comments, people enjoyed it, and I think they got a lot out of your comments and your information, and we want to thank you again. Hopefully we can have you back at some point in the future.
Yeah, always a pleasure to do these kinds of things. So thanks for having me. And, I'm glad that people seem to get something from the information that I had today. And, so hopefully we can be back and continue the conversation.
Excellent. Well, Mark, that's another show in the books. Episode 14.
There it is.
Who knew we'd make it this far?
So I think we've got another 14 in this, Marty.
Exactly, right? I'm gonna end the formal show here. What we'll do is I'll stick on. Depending on what Mark's schedule is, I will stick around for at least another few minutes on blab.im for the post show. We will record it on Blab. But anyways, thanks everyone for coming. We will be back here again next Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, for another edition of Behind the Scenes Live. That is BTS Live for short. So long, everyone.